Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to this week's live Path to Prosperity webinar. Let me just double check everything here. Actually, first, let me do the chat box. Hang on one second. So we're live. Actually, we are recording, but just hang on to your seats for just a second. Let's make sure everyone is working technologically. So let me just double check here. Archie, good to see you. I saw you set up a call, so thanks for doing that. Hey, Doug, I got your email. You said in there said something about looking forward to our our Thursday meeting. I didn't have anything for this Thursday. I checked the schedule online as well as my book. I didn't see anything. So did you intend that for next Thursday? If you could let me know that, Doug, that would be awesome. Hi, Betty. Good to see you. We're going to be doing some role playing tonight, Betty. So I've got 5 subjects picked out. We probably won't get them all. So and I want to ask you guys what you want to cover too for role playing. I just put down what, from my own experience, so it's more important that you guys have what you want. Emily, good to see you. Luann, Pierre, good to see you, buddy. Welcome aboard. Sean, good to see you. Hey, Shannon, hopefully things are going well out in sunny Southern California. Shirley, good to see you. Tom, good to see you too. So Shirley, last time we did role playing, I'd look back, it was like last September, and you and I were doing the lion's share of the role playing. So what I want to do tonight is get some other folks involved here. Because I know when I first started out, I didn't role play, I didn't practice, because I thought I really don't have the time to do that. That's what I thought. And it turns out it's one of the best things you can do to sharpen your skills and keep it's like Abraham Lincoln said about chopping a tree down. He'd rather spend 4 hours sharpening the blade and 1 hour chopping. Otherwise, you'll spend, you'll be chopping till the sun goes down to chop that tree down. So, Tordor, good to see you, buddy. Let's see. Hopefully, I got everybody there. If I didn't, hey, Melanie, good to see you. I think that is everybody. So, for anybody who's relatively new, you'll notice you're muted by default. This is live and being recorded. You get the recording the next day. So, when it comes to questions, please use the chat box. That would be great. And then also look the next day for the recording from Beverly. She also gives you the upcoming webinar schedule. So you'll see August webinar dates and times in there. Also, there's typically something you're doing to the systems any given month. So you'll see those updates too. So in any case, welcome aboard. And let's go ahead and get hopping. First, let me check the chat box and see if there's any, let's see. Hi, Gary. Hi, Gary. Thanks, guys. Oh, Doug, you made it for tonight's session. Oh, thank you. I was worried I think, my gosh, did I drop the ball somewhere, which I wouldn't put past myself. So in any case, guys, what I want to do is this. Here's the 5 subjects I picked out to role play. Maybe we'll get through 1 or 2, possibly 3, but these are objections. And one of them is actually Shannon brought this up probably 2 or 3 months ago, which is the COVID exception. Like, why would I buy an investment property now with all this going on, all the uncertainty? Whoops, excuse me. Let me put this over here. And so I thought we would cover that one. Okay. The other one is, so why would I sell now during COVID with all the uncertainty? Another one is, why would I sell with you? How about that one? Interesting objection, because statistically, most consumers who sell go with the first agent that crosses their path at the time they decide they want to sell. And you've probably seen this before. How many of you, just give me a hand raise or type in the chat box, yes, or been there, done that, where you find out after the fact, somebody like a relative, good friend, uses another agent, and they know you're an agent, but you didn't have front of mind presence at the time that they decided they're going to buy or sell. So if you've ever seen that or had that, let's see what there's. I know I have. Okay, look at that. Lots of them. Todor says me. Look at that, guys. It's amazing how many of us it happens to. And here's what I would say. Don't feel bad. Don't blame yourself. What it is it's called front of mind presence. So I'll give you a perfect example. Let's set this up. A lot of the newer agents I train have an objection also. And the objection is, I don't want to bother my family or friends. I feel funny about talking to them about this because we're family, we're friends. And I used to feel the same way. And what I realized is they're also consumers. And they, from time to time, may need to or want to buy or sell their own property or invest in property, okay? Or they may actually know somebody. So the whole thing about marketing is to always be in the game. Marketing is a momentum business, and you got to always keep doing it. And you'll probably hear me say this at least once a month. Most of the lack of business is because we aren't consistent in our marketing, and it creates front of mind presence. So you may think people are ignoring your emails, and they probably are for the most part. In fact, 2/3 of the time, the average open rate for your warm lead, warm prospects is only 30%, about 1/3. That means even people that know you, like you, trust you, 2/3 of the time don't open your email. But what do they see? They see your name, and that creates front of mind presence. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's what you say is very important, but also the fact that you have something to say is important also. So when they're looking, something comes up at work, or they're at church or school or whatever, and somebody says, "Gee, I'd love to buy a duplex, or I really think I should sell my home," and the person they're talking to is your relative or your friend who just saw your email come across their desktop that morning, but they didn't open it because they were busy. It created a front of mind presence, and they'll say, "Gee, you should call Todor. You should call Shannon. You should call Gary. They're a good friend of mine. They're my brother or sister or whatever, and I think you should check into them." That's why we do it. That's one of the biggest reasons why we do it. I know some of the veterans here understand that, but I'm telling you, I admit myself, I've been guilty of that at times where I wasn't consistent in my marketing. Actually, that's another objection. I didn't even come up with that one, but the fact that we have our own objection to why we don't want to market to somebody. So please keep that in mind. In fact, think about it this way. Sometimes people are under stress, and do you want some other agent serving them, your loved ones, or do you want to serve them yourself? Knowing let's face it, who's going to do the best job for the people you love? Probably you, right? So in any case, other objections. Why would I sell with you, or why should I sell with you? How about this one? You're going on a listing appointment, and you know the place is worth 400,000. They're like, I really want to ask 500,000. And you've got to try to reason with them. So that was another one that came up with. That happens a lot, especially in a hot, because they'll see the news. They'll say the market's hot, the market's tight, and they'll say, man, we should just go for the gusto and ask for the world. And it's a good objection. So in any case, I want to have another marketing technique for you too. So in any case, let's do this. Let me do a quick poll here. Let's go back to the chat box. Here we are. So if you could type in, Luann, you had family. Yep. I've had it happen to me too. Even in recent years, you'd be shocked. You know what, why don't we, how about if we talk about that a little bit further? That wasn't one of my original lists, but the fact is dealing with family. I just kind of gave you reasons why you should still market to your family. But let's say the objections on their end. Who's ever had this happen where they do know you're actively in the business and they still consciously choose to not use you, and they'll say the same thing we said, it's because you're family and I don't want to mix family and business. What if something goes wrong? So who's ever had that objection come in from a family member? Pierre says all the time. Yep. I've had it myself. And, what I would say is this, I'm a broker, so I have access to something called broker metrics. Not everybody has that. You have to have a broker's license to have that. But I would tell them, you can say this too, because any information I can get, you can get. You can look at statistics. You can Google top producers in your area, things like that. What you can say to your relative is you know what? I understand the objection, and I agree it's a concern. However, let me point a few things out here. Number one is, who do you think is going to do the best job for you, right? Somebody that doesn't know you, or somebody who cares about you and loves you, number one. Number two is, I'll do it on a referral basis, is what I would say. I'll do it on a referral basis, so you don't have to use me, but I'm going to do this research and find out who is the best realtor for your sale, and I will at least get a referral fee out of it, okay? That's another thing I've done that works. And it doesn't cost them anything. The other realtor pays it out of their commission, right? But what I would say, the main thing is this is, I have access to information that lets me see who is the best person for the job right now in your area. Okay. If I'm not there, we'll do it on a referral basis, and I'll tell you who that person is. Um, and by the way, you could tell them this. You could say, look, um, I'll even do this. The referral fee I get, I'll split it with you. Okay. I've done that with relatives and friends. Or I'll say this. I'll say, look, um, if you don't sell it in 90 days based on my recommendation, the referral that I would normally get, I will give the whole thing back to you. And I've done that before. So in any case, those are things you can say to a family member who, or a close friend who has an objection to working with you. But the first point was this, though, is, I would bend over backwards for my loved ones. I would do anything I could to help them sell that house. But here's what I don't do right off the bat. A lot of agents will say, look, you're my uncle, aunt, cousin, nephew, whatever. I will cut my commission in half. And that's the first words out of their mouth. And I would say that should be the last words out of your mouth. Don't ever use that first. I'm telling you, they'll take advantage of it. They'll first, you're giving them half your pay. And then they're the exact same ones who will say, why aren't you calling me? Why nothing happening? What's happening? And are you sure you're doing a good job and all that kind of stuff? So I always save that one for last resort. Okay. But Pierre or Luann, you're, excuse me, both of you responded to the family one. Are there any other objections you can think of, or any other comments you've heard that you'd like to talk about related to family members objecting to using you as a realtor, or anybody for that matter? Shirley says, sometimes it's a blessing not to work with family. Yeah, well, I know what you're coming from, where you're coming from, Shirley. So I appreciate your comment. And I would agree, there are people that I know and love that I definitely do not want to work with. And I'll start off saying, I'll use their own objection that other people use. I'll say, look, I want to serve you. I know I can serve you. I think it'd be best if I didn't directly serve you, but I can definitely do you a huge favor by helping you find the best person for the job right now. And they'll pay me what's called a referral fee. It doesn't cost you anything. And I'll do that. How about that? And that usually will work. But yeah, working directly with some people that you already know going to be a big pain in the rear end. I would, yeah. Helen says, I work under a broker and cutting the commission is not even an option. Yeah, so Helen, I used to have my broker's company, and I was always approached. You guys know I spent most of my time working with investors, and at least half the time, the beginning of the relationship, they start off with saying, hey, well, since I'm going to be buying hundreds of properties, how about you cut me a break, and because you'll be getting all those deals. And I would say, well, quite frankly, that means I'm going to be working 100 times harder. And you'll understand when you start working with me why I earn what I make, because I'm not just every other day agent. I have certain tools and strategies that I use all the time for myself, and I use them with you because you're my client. And 99 out of 100 agents cannot say that. Okay. So you have to decide for yourself. And by the way, this one you can write down. I would say, look, you're not paying me to drive the nail on the wall with a hammer. You're paying me to know what nail to use, what hammer to use, where in the wall to put the nail, how hard to hit the nail, okay, and what kind of nail to use. In other words, you're not paying me for how much paper I push. If I sell a house tomorrow, it doesn't mean I deserve less money. It means I did such a darn good job marketing, that place sold in one day. You're paying me to sell your house, and that's worth 6%. So everybody okay with that? Remember, this is being recorded. You can take crib notes, but you'll get the recording tomorrow. Let's see, Pierre wrote, typically family just looks at you differently. It's hard to have authority with them. Good point. In fact, there's a good case study on that one. For anybody who has ever read the Christian Bible or studied the families, and it happens with a lot of people who we think are famous, whatever, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Lincoln, but I was referring to a moment ago to Jesus. His brothers and sisters, I mean, to put it in layman's terms, Jesus would come home and they'd be like, well, get to work, do the dishes, cut that wood over there. You're one of us. They didn't, in fact, most of them didn't follow him, right? So in any case, very good point. I keep forgetting this was recorded. I was trying to type fast. Thanks, Melanie. Although Melanie, there's like once a year, I'm famous for messing up the recording. In fact, it just happened last month. And so it's probably good to at least take crib notes. In any case, Pierre, excellent point there. So that wasn't one of the objections, by the way. That was just something I came with and explaining the objections. But let's do this. I want to get you guys involved. I don't want to be the only one talking. The beautiful thing about role playing is it gets you engaged and involved, and there's no better way to sharpen that blade than the practice. And this is a perfect form to do it. In fact, on the team, anybody on the GIA, the Global Investor Agent team, starting in August, I'll have another session just for the team, and we're going to pair up people for role playing. And some of you I know have already contacted each other, and that's awesome. I appreciate you for doing that. In fact, anybody that I'm training, I would suggest you be part of that too. So let's do this. Let's see who's got the courage, took their courage pill this morning. Who wants to volunteer for role playing? And I'll play with you. And maybe the next time we can pick another person and you can pair with somebody right here live online. And again, don't be shy. This is where you get to impress the teacher. So show me who the ball players are here. All right. And I'll want to go ahead and I'll let you know that I've already role played with certainly Shirley in the past. Matt Peters isn't on tonight. Trying to think of who else, but let's do this. Let's make it a contest. Let's say, how do I want to do this? Let's say the first person that volunteers for role playing, what can we do? Because we're all being sheltering from home. I don't know what to do here. I tell you what, if you're not on the Global Investor team, or actually anybody, here's what I'll do. I'll give you a free copy of the Massive Passive Cash Flow Method. How about that? That's the big giant 540 some odd page book. That's the one that actually shows you, it ties all the other books together and shows you how I went from point A to point B. Okay, so Melanie's in. So Melanie, let's do this. I'm going to unmute you, so hang on just 1 second. Let me go, whoops, let me cross it off. M for Melanie, hang on 1 second. Why is your name showing up on the attendee list? Because you're here, you just texted me. Oh, there you are, Melanie Abraham, okay. Okay, so Melanie, I just unmuted you.
Perfect.
Yay, how things down in sunny, beautiful Texas?
Excellent.
Okay, good. So I tell you what, if you want to, you can choose a objection if you like, or pick one from the list. Is there one, do you have like a favorite pet peeve, a favorite one, like over the years, it's like, gee, I get that one more than any other, or one that causes you the biggest challenge?
No, not really. I was hoping to do something that's more along the investor lines, and maybe that you would see on that end, because I don't have a lot of experience calling investors. So.
Okay. Well, one of them, the one that came up about the COVID, I'll start there, and then we can, or what we can do is, I've never really had this objection much, but a lot of agents tell me their concern is, why would an investor work with them if they haven't invested themselves? And what I always say is, number one answer is always this: most agents don't invest. However, I'm training to be a certified investor agent, and we have a network of agents all around the country, U.S. and Canada both. We have all the tools, calculator spreadsheets, and resources for gathering data on people and properties. And there's the only team like it, only group like it anywhere in North America. So you could say that would be one objection if they say, why should I work with you? But how about if I do the COVID one? Because that has come up, you know? Okay.
Sounds good. All right.
So let's say I'll be the agent first and you can be the investor. So I call you up, ring, ring. Hi, Melanie, this is Gary Wilson. I'm a certified investor agent on the Global Investor Agent team. How are you tonight?
I'm great, Gary.
Good. Hey, the reason I'm calling is I've noticed in the past you've responded to some of my marketing on investing in real estate, on things I put on Facebook and things like that. And I thought I'll just reach out to you. Where are you currently in your investing business? What types of things are you working on now?
No, hey, I appreciate the call, Gary. I'm actually not really interested in doing anything right at the moment. We own one property right now that we're about to rent out, and at some point we're going to do something more, but with everything with COVID and everything going on right now, we're kind of nervous about taking a big leap right now.
Okay. Well, I completely understand. I mean, the news is, you know, it's it's not saying it's not true, but it doesn't help people like you and I take action, you know. And
Mhm.
the reality is one of my favorite mentors is a guy named Warren Buffett. Everybody's probably heard of Warren Buffett. And he has a famous saying. It's a lot of famous sayings, but one of them is this. He said, when fear is the dominating emotion, that's the time to move in and invest, because
Mhm.
people will give you greater discounts. They'll lower their price when they're fearful of having that rental property, because they're all being told, hey, the tenants don't have to pay and you can't evict them. And, you know, they're
Mhm.
like, my gosh, why would I, what am I going to do now? So I guess the point I'm trying to make is think long-term and big picture. And when's the best time to get the best deals? It's when everybody's in acting from fear. Would you agree that's kind of a common trait in human beings?
Oh yes, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
tell you what, and it's very natural, perfectly natural. It takes experience to be able to overcome those fears. And this is my fifth recession. You know, I've been investing a long time, and I've been a broker for, you know, for 18 years. And I know what it's like because I've been there before. But I also know this: at the bottom of the last recession, the same fella, Warren Buffett, said this. He said, "You know what? If I could buy 100,000 single-family homes, I would do it." And
Mm.
one of his famous quotes. And he didn't buy 100,000 single-family homes. He actually bought Prudential Real Estate. It became Berkshire
Yeah.
Hathaway. You know, so he's a smart man, and I love the fact that he's got that philosophy. When everybody's going left, we should go right. So I would really encourage you to gather data, look historically at what's happened in our industry when fear sets in. In fact, if you're interested, I could send you information. Would you be interested if I could send you an email with maybe 4 or 5 attachments that give you real, actual, factual data on today's market, and compare it with other previous markets? Would that help you feel more comfortable?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. You do that for me?
Absolutely. In fact, I'll go a step further. If you like that, I'll do a personal search. We don't just rely on listing services to get our properties, and we have them. We do use them, but more importantly, we have certain techniques we use to go under the radar screen to
Mm.
locate the properties and the owners of the properties that need to or want to sell now. Would you be interested in something like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, guys. So quick pause here. Um, Melanie took it easy on me. Thank you, Melanie, for taking it easy on me.
I don't know how hard you want me to push
Yeah,
it.
but what I did is I never ever disagree with anybody. I'll say, you know what, I understand what you're saying. I've been there before, um, and and what you do is you want to come on the same side of the fence as them, like you're together on this. And then what you do is, you know, it's an emotional thing. So people need data. They need logic and facts and information to be able to feel comfortable even saying yes to a simple question. So I'll offer, hey, I can give you all kinds of data that it's non-threatening. It's just simply opening the door to the next thing was, hey, you know what? If you're interested in that, how'd you like to have a list of properties and owners that are in need to want to sell now? I think about that. I just position them to receive information about people need to or want to sell now. And that positions me for a follow-up meeting where I can say, you know, let's just go over some of these online. Let's just do a quick calculator analysis on these and see how they really perform. And it engages them in the process. So one thing I left out, and I apologize, I just caught it on myself. I did not set up a next appointment. And I want everybody to please write this down. Whenever you have someone in a conversation, whether it's in person or over the phone or on computer, never ever leave the conversation without setting the next appointment. That is one of the number one rules in getting sales. So whether it's, you know, you, me, you know, Archie, Tom, Betty, Doug, Elsa, you snuck in there. Good to see you. Emily, Helen, Luann, Mo, Pierre, Sean, Selena. I want to name all of you personally. Shannon, Shirley, Toter, Willie. Say that 20 times fast. Um, Everybody here, new or veteran, if you just do that one thing where you always set the next appointment before you end a conversation, I promise you, you are going to have more sales, more closings. I can tell you from all the years of experience I've had, when I didn't do that, my chances of getting a follow-up appointment, it was like pulling teeth. Anybody, any amens there? Anybody know what I'm talking about? If you try to go back a week later and try to resurrect that discussion to get another appointment, it's a lot more difficult, isn't it? You know, always easiest to get that thing when you have them on the phone. It's just flat out, hands down. And some of you probably noticed it with me, with you working with you. I always try to set that next appointment. It's now it's part of my habit. So Melody, you want to reverse role and let me be the consumer?
Sure.
Okay. And same objection.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So now I'll be a Gary investor, and you go ahead and take it from there.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Gary, this is Melanie Abraham. I'm a local real estate professional. I specialize in helping investors find the perfect properties to net them the most money. And hey, I noticed that you're an investor and you've got some things that you've been opening some of my emails. So I was just kind of curious of what your plans are in the near future.
Well, it's interesting you called because I've been going back and forth, Melanie. You probably gathered, yes, I have invested in the past, but not just real estate. I've also invested in the stock market. And I've built businesses, sold them, and buy them and stuff like that too. But the thing I'm concerned about now is I don't know what to do because, the stock market was crushing it. I was doing great. And then in March, of course, I lost half of it. Then I gained most of it all back. And now I've lost another 20%. And
Wow.
I'm wondering, is it the same thing happened in real estate? Because I've been an investor for a while, but I've never seen a recession triggered by a virus. And that's my big concern right now.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, you're all in this new territory, so I completely appreciate your concern and the question mark around, hey, what do I do now and what's best for me? And obviously, you're really savvy. You've sold businesses and you invested in the stock market. And I know we all took a hit there, so I completely appreciate that. Gary, I'm like you. I study the market and really am really looking into what's going on here and what's the next best move. And I've got a lot of information here that I think that you might find helpful. I'm just wondering, when is the best time for us to just chat about it for about 15 minutes? I can show you what I have, information on what the market's doing right now and how you could take advantage of it, and feel comfortable at the same time. Would you be interested in getting together for about 15 minutes over Zoom or even in person, your comfort level? Maybe Tuesday at 4 or Thursday at 6?
Well, I tell you what, I am interested, Melanie, but I'm kind of busy, and I've been taking advantage of all this to travel and see family. And is this something we can look at later on, or is this? I mean, is there a reason why we need to do it next week, or?
Well, yeah, I appreciate you're busy and I get it. You're taking advantage of really, this market time right now to look and go see some family and all that. And I know it's just that what I'm concerned with, if we wait, and they can certainly wait, I'll be a realtor whenever you're ready. And yet, when we talk about real estate and timing and that type of thing, and would you like to buy when you have an opportunity to get a really good deal or just an okay deal?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm always say investors, we're always open for business. I mean,
Exactly.
Good deal.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And so, I really have some great information and some tools. We do some proactive research, and we really find people who really need to sell right now in this market, not just want to sell. So I have some extra information and some insight in that. So I was just thinking that if I could share that with you, if you want. I know, yeah, you're busy and you've got a lot of things, and yet what I found is that buyers that work with me and investors that work with me actually can save them like 11 to 14 hours of time if in the long run, just if they just spend 15 minutes with me, so I can just understand what your real goals are, your overall goals, and share this extra information with you. How's that?
Okay. I tell you, let's go ahead and do it then. You said next Tuesday or Thursday?
Yes.
Let's do Tuesday, because you're starting to. I mean, the whole thing about finding a good deal, you just maybe think of something that right now, if I'm concerned, then probably other people are too. And maybe there's people that do want to sell, and heck, if I can get a good deal, I'll get a good deal,
Absolutely. Excellent.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
sounds great. Okay.
Hey, good job, by the way. I mean, you went right for the appointment. and then you backed it up with presenting data. That was awesome. And then with the objection, with investors, guys, Melanie hit the nail on the head. If you're really working with an investor, it's the profit that's the motivator. They want the deal. And if you say those magic words, if I presented you one of the really good deal right now, would you want to look at that? I mean, any investor is going to say, yeah. So now she got me in a yes mode, and then I was more willing to say yes to the appointment when she went back for the second time. So that's one of the best techniques is there's a book about this, by the way. Actually, the book's weird. The title says "Going for No." Have you ever heard of that book?
Mm-mm.
Called "Going for No." What the theory is you're going to get a lot of no's, but the more no's you get, the closer you are to a yes. Because statistically, you'll get so many yeses for so many no's. And but the thing is, you want to get people in a yes state of mind. So asking them a question that's easy to say yes to gets them in a yes state of mind, and then you follow up with what you want, which is an appointment. So you did that perfectly, actually.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, let me check the chat box here for comments, and then we can do another one. Thanks, Melanie, too, by the way, for volunteering. So let's say, Pierre, I know how to analyze and find deals. There you go. It's good. Yep. So Melanie, I'm going to make a quick note to send you that book so I don't forget.
Thank you.
You know what? Beverly's going to be listening. Beverly, just check with me tomorrow to see if I hadn't sent it yet for you to please go ahead and send that. So Melanie, massive passive cash flow method. Okay, good. All right, that was a good role play. Okay, who else wants to volunteer? You're gonna let Melanie get all the goodies tonight, so don't be shy, guys. How about one of the newer folks? Let's see. I'll give you a choice. Let's see who responds first. There's Selena and Mo and Willie. Selena, Mo, and Willie. I know there's other newer folks on here too, but you guys are. We've just recently had some strategy calls. So Doug will do it. Okay, Doug. Let's do this. Doug, let me unmute you. So Melanie, I'm going to put you back on mute. Hang on one second, okay? Let me see, Melanie. Whoops. Where is Melanie? There you are. Okay, so I'm going to mute Melanie. All right. And then Doug, let's allow Doug to talk. Okay, Doug, you there? Hey, there you go.
You hear me?
Yeah, good to see you, buddy.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Hey, what is there? How about you've been around the block a while too. What's one of your objections, or do you want to take one from the list we have tonight, which is the COVID objection, and either why should I list with you one, or they want a price that is outlandish. But if there's one you've got you and Gwen, Doug, that you see a lot, or it's one of your toughest challenges, I don't mind at all. I mean, just open mic, recorded, and there's no judgment here.
Well, a couple I've seen a lot is one is I've been in that house and it's nowhere near as nice as mine, so I should get a lot more money.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Okay.
I've got another one. I've got tenants, and I don't want anybody disturbing my tenants. So you have to see the property on their terms.
I tell you what, let's do that one. That was one of my favorite ones too. I've had hundreds of units and thousands of tenants over the years personally, and then with all my investors, obviously lots of units and tenants. So how about you play the property owner and I'll play the realtor again, and then we can switch roles. Is that okay if we do it that way?
Sure.
Okay, so let me get my head on straight first. So I'm going to be the agent working with Doug. Doug's the owner. Okay. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Doug. Hey, Doug. This is Gary Wilson, real estate investor agent with the Global Investor Agent Team. How are you tonight?
I'm fine. What can I do for you?
Well, I don't know if you remember me. I sent you information a while back, you and your wife Gwen, and you had responded. It's been a while though, and I just wanted to follow up with you and see how that property's working out for you. I know you last time we spoke, you had just bought a triplex, and with all that's happening right now, I'm thinking, you might be a good time to sell because prices are high. There's a lot of competition. It's a seller's market. And I know you've seen the news, tenants don't have to pay the rent and you can't evict them. I mean, is it something you've considered? Like if I brought you the right buyer at the right price, would you be interested in entertaining selling your property?
It might be. These pretty good tenants. They never call and they pay their rent on time.
Okay, so it's fully occupied then?
Yes. But
Okay.
it's getting to be a headache. I'm looking to do something a little bit different instead of dealing with tenants.
Okay. Well, we might have a solution for that. You've heard a different subject, but residential assisted living, plant that seed in everybody's mind because we're going to be pursuing that big time. But back to the role play.
Okay.
That'll happen too, by the way. You'll have discussions with people and you'll find yourself going down all kinds of rabbit holes. But try to always get back to the subject, which is this. So Doug, I tell you what, there's a bigger reason I'm calling. I actually do have clients who are interested in properties just like yours. Some are out of state, some are local. What I'd like to do is bring one over and actually look at the property. And because they've already been qualified, they've got cash. I mean, they're like ready to go like right now. I mean, I'll ask obviously for some type of agreement with you, but would you be open to that if we could do that even as early as next week?
Well, I might be. These tenants are so good. I really hate to disturb them and let them know that, yeah, you got to let somebody in to look at the place because I'm going to sell it. And I don't want to screw things up with what we've got with them. So would you be willing to do it from just checking out the exterior maybe?
Well, I mean, I could do that on my own. I could certainly drive by and take some pictures, and I'll be careful not to disturb anybody. But the reality is if you do decide you want to sell, I mean, let's say I present an offer, it's just too hard to pass up. We're definitely going to want to have to see the property. So we're definitely going to have to disturb the tenants, and I don't even like to call it that. I like to say we're bringing them into the equation, so we're fully disclosing what's happening down the road and quell their fears, because most tenants will think, my gosh, those going to sell this place, that new guy's going to raise my rent, et cetera, et cetera. And I will be able to show them statistically that really doesn't happen. In fact, most leases are written so that the tenant can live out the remainder of their lease. And what I would suggest to them is, if the property is already good a deal enough now at the current price, the owner doesn't have any reason to raise the rent. And they wouldn't do that anyways under the current market conditions, because they know the tenants have more rights right now. So in my experience, Doug, I guess what I'm getting at is this: it's far better to inform them early on, bring them into the equation so they're part of the equation, as opposed to surprising and shocking them later on. And then they might actually bail out on you before the closing, and then you're really in a pickle because the buyer wanted to buy it with the tenants and the lender wanted to lend money on it because the tenants are in there paying rent. And Lord knows we don't want a deal to fall apart at the closing table because the place is half vacant. Does that make sense, Doug?
Yeah, it does make sense. I think it's going to be a real challenge to get all three tenants to agree at the same time to be interrupted. So would you be okay with just looking at one of the units?
I'd be willing to do that. Yeah, if we could look at one of the units initially and the common areas like in the basement, the outdoors, I think that would be fine just to get the ball rolling.
Okay, let me see what I can do. Then I think we can talk turkey here.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, you know me, I'm an omnivore. I'll eat anything, including turkey. So.
All right.
Okay, couple quick comments. One of my favorite quotes was from Ronald Reagan, and he was known as the great communicator. He was able to get Democrats and Republicans together to pass legislation. And one of the ways he was able to do is he had a famous approach, which was this: a lot of people want to go for everything, and they won't be happy till they get everything. And the way the world is Doug has his own agenda. I've got my own agenda. The other buyer has his or her own agenda. And it's sometimes better to compromise on an approach to get one step further, one step closer, and keep the door open for the future when you do want to and need to see the other two units. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
So when Doug said that, I jumped all over it because, I mean, granted, I've done it thousands of times, and I learned the hard way early on. If I kept objecting and I said, no, Doug, we really got to see all three, I could lose them. So never ever fight with a prospect. You know, once you've handled the objection and you get some movement, take the movement and move forward. So let me check the chat box, Doug, see if we got any comments or suggestions on that one. Let's see, Pierre, LOL, you're in a safe place. Okay. Oh, assisted living sounds like more guaranteed rental income. So Pierre, next time we're on a strategy call, let's talk about residential assisted living, and I'll send you the document we have on that. It's something as a team we're embracing for all of us investors, and we're going to be pursuing probably starting as early as next month. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. So Doug, is it okay if we go ahead and reverse roles then? I'll be the owner and you can be the realtor?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
How comical this might be.
Well, I appreciate you doing this. I think you're definitely helping a lot of people. I'm looking at the, Erica's on. Hey, Erica. Hey, Erica, please set up a strategy call. Okay. There's spots open next week. If you need the link, just text me and I'll send you the link. Okay, Erica, I want to go over some things with you. And okay, so back to this, Doug. Oh, sorry. Melanie says, I like how you changed the word disturb. Yeah. Thank you, Melanie. Anything negative like that, I try to turn it into a positive, but it has to be legitimate. In other words, I really do feel like involving the tenants early on makes them feel better and safer. Like me talking to them as the realtor and shaking their hands, asking about the kids, things like that. You have to really genuinely feel it. Generally speaking, they'll stick around. And I've even gone as far as giving them my personal phone number and say, look, I'm going to be doing this transaction for the seller and the buyer. You and I are going to need each other to work with each other. Here's my personal phone number. If you have any questions at all, you let me know. And I think a lot of owners, when they hear the realtor saying that makes them feel a whole lot better about showing the units and things like that. Melanie's done the same thing exactly. And I'll tell you what, guys, between you and me and the fly on the wall is when I'm playing my realtor role, not the investor, but the realtor. And I have an owner who really objects a lot to letting me see the tenants and all that kind of stuff. That becomes a big red flag. Okay. And I'll give you a perfect example. I bought a property one time. I was young and early on, and an owner was a realtor too. And boy, did she turn out to be a scoundrel. She finally let me in to see the tenants towards the end. And on the surface, it looked okay. But it turns out the tenants had their own water meters. And the water was not in the owner's name, it was in a tenant's name. So at the first closing attempt, I stopped it. I said, wait a second, you don't have all the information on the water bill. So I said, I'm not going to close without that. And everyone else was ready to close, including the lender. I was the only one objected. Came around again a month later, and she said she hadn't collected all the rents. And I said, well, you've got to take care of that. I can't collect your rents for you. You've got to collect your own rents. When I take over, they become my rents. And it was after 5 o'clock, and the same thing came up with the water. And I said, no, I don't want to close. Not only is it, we don't have the information, but the water authority is now closed. And the closing officer insisted on closing. And I said, would you please put that in writing that you're insisting on closing, knowing that there could be something outstanding. And sure enough, 6 months later, I started getting hit with all these delinquent water bills. And the tenants, by the way, ended up being one was Satan, one was Satan's helper, and the other one was Satan's mother. So, in any case, so back to the role play. So Doug, I'll be now the owner, and you're the realtor. So go ahead and take it from there.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, Gary. This is Doug Campbell. I'm an investing real estate agent, and I noticed that you've responded to a couple of my emails, and I just wanted to see if you had any interest in selling any of your properties.
Well, it's interesting you should call, Doug, and I do remember you, by the way. Thanks for reaching out. normally wouldn't take calls I don't recognize, but I recognize your name. I do have several properties, and I'm sort of retired. I left the corporate world years ago, so I'm making my own money now. And I have to admit, the news got me a little bit concerned when they said publicly, the national news, hey, tenants, you don't have to pay your rent. And hey, landlords, you can't evict them. And I thought, oh boy, I'm in trouble now. These people aren't going to pay their rent. But it turns out for the most part they are. And, I'm just a little bit, I'm still a little bit nervous though, about the whole thing. I just don't know where it's going. And I just don't know if the time to sell though, because at the same time, who would want to buy these things if they're hearing the same news I'm hearing, So I don't know. Is there what can you tell me?
Well, what I can tell you in the area, the prices are still high, or they're not falling. It's a strong market right now for sellers, and the buyers are looking and looking, and there are a lot of investors out there looking for property that, especially rental properties, because they know that there are rental owners that are nervous about the market, and they might want to sell, and you might be able to find yourself a pretty good deal.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I mean, you'd have a good point, because I have noticed, and it's some of the information you sent me, that it seems like it's a pretty hot market. I mean, at least in a traditional sense, with owner occupants is a seller's market, and light on the inventory, a lot of offers, things like that. But one of my concerns would be though is I've always been a good landlord. I always get to know my tenants, and I always respond quickly to maintenance requests. And I hate to disturb them, and I know what it's like going through a sale because I've been on the other end of it. And some of them are senior citizens, and I just don't want to disturb them. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I completely understand. The last thing we want to do is make a tenant uncomfortable, because we know a tenant could have the ability to throw a monkey wrench into a whole transaction. So I would introduce myself to the tenants and explain the whole process to them, what they can expect, and that we're going to disrupt them as little as absolutely possible.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just trying to think of what would I want to sell. I mean, I've got a bunch of them, but I don't. Is it necessary to show the units? Like, can you just do a drive-by, or what's what are you able to do? And I mean, I'm willing to entertain the idea. I guess I just want to kind of tiptoe lightly into this.
Well, what we could do is drive by, and with all this COVID going on, if you could get your folks to agree to have me come in for just a 15 or 20-minute period, we could do a video and be able to have that available for any potential investor that would be willing to buy your property. And that way, that puts them at the disruption or inconvenience, and we would have the ability to show only serious people if they want to come in and actually look at the property.
That's an interesting idea. I haven't thought about that. So you can record everything. Well, I'll tell you what, Doug, I'm pretty much a straight shooter, but what if we did this? What if I let you in there, walk around, record the units, but don't say anything to tenants. Just say I just say you're an inspector or you're an appraiser or something like that. We'll just make up some kind of BS. What do you think about that kind of stuff?
Well, if that's the only way to get in to look at the inside of the building, yes, we could do that, but you run the risk of really pissing them off, to be honest with you, when they find out, oh, you're going to sell the place. And then they could just get hostile when we come in with potential buyers. I just assume be straight up with them, if that's okay with you.
Well, I tell you what, I like your style, Doug. I mean, I'm glad you gave me the answer. I was just thinking off the seat of my pants, and I probably shouldn't even have brought it up, because it's such. I do like my tenants, and I don't want them thinking ill of me anyways. I'd rather be straight with them from the start anyway. So I tell you what, would you be willing to maybe just come over yourself and just record one of the units? Would that be okay to start there, or do you want to bring the buyer with you? Or I'd be better if I just saw you first and you could record it. And then if they like what they see on the video, yeah, we could go from there. How about that?
That sounds great. So, do you have time next Tuesday or Thursday afternoon for me to come by for about 30 minutes?
Well, you have to check with Melanie Abraham. She's got me on Tuesday, I think. You can have me on Thursday.
Okay, I'll settle for.
All right.
All right. Does
Okay,
around
guys.
3 o'clock work for you?
That's perfect. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, then I will see you over at the property and at about 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon.
You got it, Doug. I look forward to seeing you, and please tell your wife Gwen I said hello, and look forward to working with you, you know?
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Okay, guys, any comments or questions on that one? I'm kind of hesitant to dig into another role play shoot. We can do, by the way, just give me some feedback. Just type in the chat box, you know, RP for role play. If you guys want to do more role play, we haven't done it for a while. And I got to tell you, I mean, to me, it helps a lot. I mean, we can definitely do more role. Maybe let's do another one in August, maybe 2. There's more content to go over, but I think that's probably the best way to get you guys out there and feeling more comfortable, you know, quite frankly, because you're going to get some crazy objections right now. Yeah, Mo liked the video idea too. Thanks, Mo. Pierre says, yep. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to take the last few minutes to go over a few things with you to help you get more leads. We've had some really good one-on-ones in the last couple of weeks, and most everybody's doing the basic marketing. You know, you're sending letters out, you're sending booklets out, you're driving around looking at the properties where you've been sending the letters, and even calling people, calling people, and a lot of you are using Facebook too. But one of the old tried and true and tested methods I used to use, and still works today, it's grassroots level stuff, is to look at, you know, every week, whenever your green sheet comes out, green sheets in every community that I've seen across US and Canada, and so is the Penny Saver. They might call it something different, but usually it's Penny Saver. And both of those papers are small local publications, very inexpensive. By the way, it's also very inexpensive to advertise in those, okay? I mean, we would run ads for as little as $5 a week for an apartment for rent. Now, knowing that, I know other landlords are also using those publications to advertise their vacancies. And I also know this, most of the rental ads in Green Sheet and Penny Saver are from individual owners, like not big management companies, but individual owners. So you're getting the person who actually owns the property. And whatever they're doing there, usually they'll give you a phone number to call. Sometimes it's a screening number. You call it, you leave a voicemail. But the point is that is a huge source of leads right now to pick up rental properties for your clients. And partly for some of the reasons we went over tonight, they're seeing the news and they're thinking, my gosh, what if my tenants stop paying their rent? What if I can't evict them? So the fear setting in, and you can use that as a basically getting the door open and say, look, I've already got investors who are ready, willing, able now. And I tell you what, you know, if I was in your shoes and this was, you know, whatever, 20 years ago, the prices are at the top of the market. You might not have this might be it might be 10 more years before you see an opportunity like this again. So my suggestion is we're at the top of the market. If you're at least even thinking of selling, we should definitely get together, you know. Now, I will tell you firsthand, you're going to get some answers that are not very pleasant sometimes. You're going to say, I advertise this thing for rent. I'm not looking to sell, you know. And it's going to happen. So just it's not a personal attack. It's just that they're not interested in selling today. But what I would do is to say, look, I understand your position. I have rentals too, but I'm looking to pick up some more right now. And I know that some owners I've talked to are concerned about the market. They're seeing that the tenants are being told on the news they don't have to pay rent and they might not get evicted. And, you know, I understand the fear and all that. I just know that I'm making my living doing this, and I want to pick up some more properties, and so do my clients, and they're willing to pay top dollar right now because it's the top of the market. If you change your mind, you let me know. In the meantime, is it okay if I send you some information on the area, properties like yours in the area to help you see what's moving. I'll send you what's active, what's pending, and what's sold, and you can see for yourself what's actually happening. Would that be okay if I did that? And usually I'll get an okay answer, yes answer. Very rarely would they give me another no right after I just made that offer. So what I did is I took their negative objection, which is legitimate, and countered it with logic, right? And then offer to give them something, in this case, valuable information. And all I'm trying to do is keep the door open. That's all I'm trying to do. Now, on the other hand, sometimes we'll say, well, I might entertain the idea, you know, how much you think it's worth. How many of you ever had that response right away? You call an investor and you haven't even seen the property. Say, hey, what do you think this thing's worth? You know? So what I would do there is absolutely go for the appointment right off the bat. Say, I tell you what, you know, you're a smart person. You've got invested properties. I do too. You know as well as I do. Only way I can determine that is to come and check it out. How about if I come over there tomorrow? I'll come at 2 o'clock. Everybody's still at work, still at school, and I'll take some measurements, take some pictures, gather some data from you, and I'll give you your answer by tomorrow night. How about that? So in those scenarios, always strike fast and strike hard. If they open the door for you, don't say next week or whatever. Say, how about tomorrow? I'll give you the answer tomorrow night. That's what people want to hear, you know? But the back to the original point though is use those publications to your advantage right now because of the inventory is tight. I mean, even our best data sources or, you know, other people have access to them, you know, but very few people actually will scan the green sheet and penny saver. By the way, if you're in Canada, you can use Kijiji, and if you're in the US, you can use Craigslist. I've now seen Kijiji in the northern states, and I've seen Craigslist also in the southern provinces. But on Craigslist, sometimes you have to respond digitally. You got to respond to the message because you don't get their phone number. You don't even get their email. All you can do is send them a message back about their listing. I'm sorry, about their rental for sale, and do that. Just say, hey, I'm Doug Campbell. Here's my name. Here's my number. Here's my email. I'm responding to your ad about your rental. Please get a hold of me. That's all you got to say. And that's so Betty, I think you and I were talking about this the other day. When you're on a venue that doesn't give the other person's direct contact information, it requires you to leave your information with them. Just go ahead and do that. You don't have to tell them why. Just say, I'm Betty Kappa. I'm Gary Wilson. Here's my name. Here's my number. I'm responding to your ad about your rental. And then they call you up. And my first statement would always be this. Is that the only property you own? A legitimate question, because they've advertised one vacancy for rent. When I ask them, is that the only property you own? Most people say, well, no, I've got more. You know, I've got 2 or 3 other rentals or vacancies. What are you actually you're interested in? You know, and then I would go in and say, well, here's what I'm really interested in. I'm really interested in buying some myself. You know, I'm curious, what's been your experience with that rental property? Okay. And just start the conversation just like that, guys. So those 3 things right there, when I started my property management business, we started out using them to get property management contracts. That's how we started doing it. We would say, I'll offer to lease your vacancy for a half month's rent, which is half price. And that opens the door for getting a management contract. Turns out we had probably just as much success, if not more, using it on the brokerage end to get listings, to get sales. So if you're concerned about listings right now, I tell you guys, I've been to markets like this before. It's my 5th market cycle. And whenever you're right before the bottom drops out, it always peaks like this. I'm not saying it's going to crash tomorrow or next month. I don't know that. If I did, I'd tell you, you know, and we'd all be gajillionaires, right? But the fact is we know what's going to happen. It's a mathematical certainty. And in times like this, when inventory is tight, even without the virus, this was going to happen already. It already was happening. I'm telling you, this is when you got to roll up your sleeves, really just put on your work boots and get after it. I mean, there's no other way I can say it other than these are the times that make the good realtors. It's good old fashioned hard work. That's what it is. And do it. And I promise you, when half the agents leave the business, the volume is only going to drop 25%. It's happened as bad as the last recession was, volume only dropped 25%. That means the other 50% of the agents that stayed on board got 75% of the business. You follow what I'm saying? Half the agents left, volume dropped 25%. That means the agents that stayed around increase their business by an average of 50%. And that was my story. That's exactly how I did what I did. And it came down to me doing these things that I'm telling you right here. So if I hope I'm not beating a dead horse here, I'm just telling you, if you're comfortable right now, then you need to go work harder. You need to make yourself uncomfortable. Okay. And I know it stinks to hear that, but I'm telling you that, I mean, all the veterans here, Shirley, Melanie, Doug, would you guys agree that when you're at the peak of a market and inventory is tight, you have to outwork the market? Would you agree? I think everybody's muted. Oh, we got some chats. Yeah, yes. Guys, and all you got to do is, it's not like you to work 12 hours a day. I'm just telling you. I have what's called, I call the 5-minute rule. At the end of every day, I'll take another 5 minutes before I hit the hay and do one more thing. It might be respond to a Craigslist ad, it might be respond to a penny saver ad or something like that. And you add that up throughout the year, I think it comes up to another week, entire week's, no, let's see, 28 hours, I think, of time, which is more than 3 work days. And in more than 3 work days, I can beat out almost anybody else, you know, over time. So that's really what it takes. You don't have to sacrifice time with your family. Just do one more thing every day, dig into those ads, do that every single day. And I'm willing to bet you, you know, what is it now? I was going to say by the end of the month, but that's not fair. That's tomorrow. I'll tell you what, I'll challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to do that over the next week. Darn it, the next webinar is Monday night. That won't work either. Let's just say this. Let's just say I trust you and you're going to commit to doing those activities I just described to you between tomorrow and Monday. And on Monday night, how about let's come back with some success stories, okay? So, yeah, short sales and foreclosures. One more thing sounds great. That's it. I got a whole thing I wrote up on that, Melanie. I got all this stuff I wrote. I should just share with you guys. It's not the, it's, you know, not any of the training material, but it's just personal things. Would you guys be interested if I put publish it? Not like you have to pay for it, but just if I share with you some of my personal habits and processes and things like what do I do when I wake up, and you know, what habits do I have? I can share that with you if you guys are interested. Okay. Oh yeah, I tell you what, guys. When I really first figured out how to succeed, it wasn't like a magic pill, or it wasn't any kind of secret formula. It was good old fashioned, just be determined, be persistent, and just keep going. I mean, I never give up. I mean, people that know, some of you know me more personally than others, and my mom's in the other room, you can ask her. I don't know why I'm the way I am, but I don't give up, you know? So in any case, that's my story. So in any case, guys, I'm going to get going here. Hope you have a wonderful, beautiful weekend with you and your families. Stay safe and stay healthy. God bless you. And I believe we're going to see each other Monday night. So let's go over, hang on one second. Is it Monday night? It is Monday night. Let's go over the results of the homework, and we'll do 2 more role plays. How about that? Okay. All right, you guys, take care of yourselves. Erica, please set up that strategy call. Anybody else, if you haven't had a strategy call, it's part of what you get. You might as well take advantage of it, okay? All right, we'll see you next week. Erica, that's right. Erica, do that. Yeah. Okay, bye, guys. See ya. Oops, gotta stop the recording. Sorry.